We're trying something different today, so I want to thank you in advance for coming on this adventure with me. Nia Sioux from Dance Mums just released her memoir a few days ago. I finished listening to it on audiobook and I have a lot of thoughts I need to get out. First of all, this isn't a sponsored post, but I do want to shout out Libro FM. They're an alternative audiobook platform where you buy individual audiobooks, sign up for the subscription service, and can gift friends and family with audiobooks or gift cards. But the best part is they support independent bookshops and publishers, are not replacing creativity with AI, and you're not funding a billionaire. Wins all around. Anyway, back to Nia Sioux. I thought I'd mix things up and combine my love of reading with my love of drawing and my not-so-secret love of reality TV to bring you Bottom of the Pyramid, an illustrated review. I've been working on drawing portraits and I'm trying to take things back to basics, so these will be pencil sketches in my good old sketchbook. This is just a basic sketchbook from Blick with my starter set of Stettler pencils. Thanks to the pandemic and TikTok, Dance Mums has been experiencing a kind of a renaissance, but I somewhat proudly and a little shamefully admit that I am an OG fan. I've been watching, commiserating and gasping with these girls from the beginning, from the comfort of my living room. I say somewhat shamefully because the majority of the Dance Mums fans at the time of its airing were children, and I was not a child. I was a professional dancer, fascinated with the talent in these tiny humans, raging at the bitter, twisted and cruel dance teacher, who worryingly reminded me of some of the teachers I'd had, and completely unable to look away. Like many others, I rewatched the show during the pandemic and watching it in concentration without the benefit of a week's break between each episode in which regular life wiped away the memory of Abby's cruelty at times made me feel sick to the stomach. The abuse those children suffered at her hands is disgusting, and it's wild watching her become more entitled and abusive as the seasons increase and her fame and power grow. The more she not only got away with, but was rewarded for her actions, the worse she became. And as a viewer, I can't help but feel a little guilty for participating in that. Sure, many of the girls developed careers, made money, and received many opportunities through participating in Dance Mums, but was it worth it? Even Nia questions whether she would do it all again, given the chance. But back to the book. I'm going to try to not give any spoilers here, as I'm sure that there are already a plethora of TikTok think pieces and Reddit threads going into minute detail. I don't approach memoirs, especially celebrity memoirs, expecting the height of literary acumen. I read them for a personal point of view and for answered questions about all the things the producers and the people in power chose not to show. Nia does not disappoint. She names names. There is no one of the mums said this or one of the girls left me out of that. No, she says with her whole chest, Jill, Kendall's mum, said, insert highly inappropriate microaggression. In the words of Bethany Frankel, she mentions it all. She mainly tells her story chronologically, starting from her early days with the ALDC before the show, spending most of the book documenting her time on the show, and ending with her life after the show, including acting in The Bold and the Beautiful, college at UCLA, and her career as an influencer and activist. But obviously, the question that we all want to know, especially those of us who recognise and have experienced similar microaggressions and outright racism that Nia experienced on the show, does she go into it? Yes. Yes, she does. And then some. There was a lot of problematic things shown on the show that were brushed over, and she comments on all of those. But there was a lot more that even the producers recognised could damage Abby Lee's reputation irrevocably and maybe even get the show cancelled that were left out. Abby Lee never wanted Nia on the show. She explicitly said that she wanted a team of skinny blonde white girls with blue eyes and did not want any little toadies on her team, referencing the character Kim Fields played in The Facts of Life. She resented Nia having the same opportunities as other dancers on the team and let her know it. And this didn't only end with Nia. Other black dancers on the team experienced the same, from Abby, but Nia was the one who stayed the longest and experienced the fullness of Abby's disgusting behaviour. Abby excuses a lot of her behaviour. I speak in the present tense because this woman still believes she was right and justified in how she treated children, by saying that her methods prepared children for working professionally. The sad part is that she isn't entirely wrong. While I never experienced anything that comes close to the treatment Nia receives from Abby Lee, I experienced my fair share of teachers who tried to limit me, my abilities, and my future because I am a black African woman who pursued a career in dance. In general, many old school dance teachers buy into the toxic mindset that you have to tear dancers down to bring out the best in them. They experienced it in their training and almost seem to relish the fact that now it's their turn to unleash torture among the next generation. And then add on to this a plethora of racist mindsets and beliefs. I was told by a dance teacher that African people are not flexible, that we have terrible feet, and that we are too muscly to be ballet dancers. Although I was frequently placed in groups with the best dancers in my ballet class and received high scores in my ballet exams when I was training for a professional career, I was never put in any of the ballet show numbers at the end of the year. At first, I put this down to my personal lack of flexibility and turnout, but then other white girls with similar facility to me who scored lower in exams than me were put in the numbers. Of course, I don't feel like I was owed anything, and I did get to experience a lot of opportunities at dance college that many girls didn't. I was put in a lot of the contemporary numbers, including being put in a number in my first year, which is somewhat unheard of. I will, though, point out that traditionally, people, choreographers, producers, teachers have often sidelined black dancers as contemporary dancers, not classical dancers. And there is a kind of elitist thought process that goes into that. The elitist mindset is that classical dancers are better than contemporary dancers, when in fact it takes just as much strong training, flexibility and strength to be a good contemporary dancers as it does to be a good classical dancers. It's just a case of style and personal preference. I love contemporary. I'm so grateful for all the opportunities I was given to be a contemporary dancer, but it would have been nice to also had opportunities to stretch myself in classical ballet. Nia talks about how she eventually learned to take her career in her own hands due to Abby's lack of interest in her, and how this ultimately turned out to be the best thing Abby did for her. And similarly, sometimes the prejudices held against me worked in my favour. If nobody else was going to find a place for me, then I had to find a place where I belonged. It was during my 3 years training for a professional career in dance that I discovered the Alvin Ailey Company and the Dance Theatre of Harlem, two prestigious dance companies in New York that feature a predominantly black company. I also did my own research into dance history to see that there were many dancers who looked like me and were beautiful and stunning and elegant and dainty, with toned physiques, with lean physiques, in a whole range of styles and performance qualities that had never been opened to me before. I saw that African people do not have limited facility, but that there are even African contortionists. I had the pleasure of seeing one in real life. I also discovered Misty Copeland during this time, a dancer who started dancing at 14, just like me, and eventually became a principal dancer with American Ballet Theatre. She recently retired after a long and illustrious career, But I think she still remains one of the most well-known, if not the most well-known ballet dancer of our time. Because I wanted to be in musical theatre, every single teacher I ever met told me I'd be great in The Lion King. I mean, of course they did. And they were right. I did eventually manage to book The Lion King, and I was great in it. But that's beside the point. I was black, and at the time, this was the only musical with more than 1 or 2 black people in the cast. When I first started auditioning for shows, I soon discovered the black call. Auditions have a call sheet that lists all the dancers who are coming to audition for a specific role or roles. Theatre is an aesthetic business, there's no avoiding that, for better or for worse. Every character for every show, principal or ensemble, has a particular look, and casting directors will add people to the call sheet that meet that look. And the look is sometimes important for the casting of that character, for what they want to portray about that character. It's not always. So you soon learn to look out for the people who look or dance like you at auditions. My tall friends always clocked the tall dancers and knew that was their competition. My fuller-bodied friends clocked the fuller-bodied dancers and knew that was their competition. Sometimes there was a ballet track, so all the good ballet dancers start eyeing up one another. You get it. It might have changed now. I haven't auditioned for a show in over 15 years, but when I was auditioning, most shows only had 1 or 2 black dancers, and so there would be a whole separate audition in which all the black dancers living and working in London would come audition against each other for that one token role, the black call. So yes, even though it was cliché, I did want to be in The Lion King. I'd spent my whole life in majority white spaces, and I was ready to stop feeling like the token. Most musicals only have closed auditions, which means an agent has to put you forward to be considered for the role. But once a year, Lion King would hold an open call, meaning any dancers with or without agent representation could audition. I was always sent to the closed Lion King audition by our school agent because I was one of 2 black people in the school, and so they sent both of us. But my friends would go to the open call, my white friends. They knew they weren't going to get the role, but when you're a student, every audition experience is training ground. But one time, a couple did complain and say it was unfair they didn't stand a chance. In every single other show on the West End, they had ample chance to be cast, far more of a probability of being cast over me, but they were mad about this one. And just for the record, Lion King does cast non-black dancers and actors. The roles of Scar, Zazu, Timon and Pumbaa and the hyenas are open to everyone of all races, while Mufasa, Simba, Nala, Rafiki are typically black actors, but not always. And there is sometimes a token non-black ensemble member. But you see, the thing about Lion King, and this goes back to the fact that musical theatre is aesthetic, is that not only is Lion King set in Africa, but it pulls from a lot of South African culture. The show features nearly all 11 of the official languages of South Africa, 9 of which are indigenous languages to South Africa, and the musical's version of Rafiki is based off a Sangoma, which is a woman who is a spiritual leader and healer among the Zulu nation. So many productions of Lion King around the world will also predominantly feature South Africans in their cast, because these are the people who know the culture most intimately and can then portray this culture in the fictional story of The Lion King. Whereas a show like Tarzan, which is set in Africa but isn't immersed in any African culture, you'll find that this show features a much more diverse cast. And even when I went to see Tarzan in Germany, there were only 1 or 2 black actors. All of this to say that, in a way, Abby Lee was unfortunately preparing the girls for the cruelty and unfairness of the professional world. But instead of using her power and position to notice that this is wrong and change it, she was all about maintaining the status quo. I'm happy to see nowadays that there are a lot of dance teachers, show writers and casting directors who are starting to bring about change. Change is slow, but there is change. I see dance teachers that are firm but kind, like Miss Debbie Allen. She pushes her dancers to greatness, but not But she doesn't use cruel tactics in comparison. She's strict and firm, but not mean and insulting. There are also lots more shows celebrating diversity, whether it's through blind casting like in Hamilton, or through a diverse company of characters written within the show to begin with, such as In the Heights, another Lin-Manuel Miranda production. I'm happy that Nia had the last laugh in the end. She's successful in and out of the performing world, and she grew to be a mature and well-adjusted adult despite the environment she grew up in. I think this is a book that goes beyond her dance mom's experience and is an encouraging read for any dancer struggling to feel accepted in the industry. Believe in yourself, forge your own path, and let them know you're here to stay. Here's my final piece. I wanted to show Nia in various stages of her journey, young, older, happy, sad. And she isn't just at the top of the pyramid, she is the pyramid. Thank you for watching, and stick around if you want to see more of my pencil sketches, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.